Says cities can ticket homeless people for sleeping outside. The justices siding with the town of Grants Pass, Oregon, and its anti-camping ordinances. We reached out to Houston Mayor Whitmire about today's ruling. In a statement, he said, quote, "My administration has developed a sensible homeless plan that I'll soon release." He says that his office will study the ruling to understand what additional effective measures it allows.
Also today, the Supreme Court has significantly weakened the power of federal agencies to approve regulations. The ruling overturns the Chevron versus National Resources Defense Council precedent from 1984. That decision required courts to give deference to federal agencies when creating regulations based on an ambiguous law. It's considered to be an important victory for conservatives who have sought to rein in regulatory authority. The Supreme Court makes a major ruling regarding some of those charged in the January 6th Capitol riot.
The High Court says the Justice Department overstepped its bounds with an obstruction charge used to prosecute hundreds of people that day. Erica Brown joins us live from Washington, D.C. with more on this. Erica.
Cheryl, the Supreme Court issuing this key ruling on Friday that narrows the scope of how some of the defendants connected to the January 6th Capitol riots could be charged. And as you mentioned, in the 6-3 decision, the justices argued that essentially federal prosecutors overstepped with an obstruction charge. In a 6-3 ruling, the Supreme Court made it harder to charge defendants in the Capitol riot with obstruction.
What the majority is saying here is it can't just be walking in and engaging in a riot. It has to be tied to some sort of document destruction.
Conservative Justice Amy Coney Barrett issued a stinging and somewhat surprising dissent.
She says, or otherwise means you tried to corruptly impede a official proceeding, and a riot is enough to do that.
Former Harrisburg, Pennsylvania police officer Joseph Fisher brought the case, his lawyer arguing federal prosecutors were using the Enron-era law as a dragnet. The top house Republican voiced approval of the ruling.
Effectively, the court agrees that a number of the defendants in the January 6th proceedings have been overcharged.
The impact is already being felt on the D.C. docket, with more cases being ordered for review and deadlines as soon as next week. U.S. Attorney General Merrick Garland expressed disappointment and pointed out in a statement the vast majority of the more than 1,400 defendants will not be affected by this decision. There are no cases in which the department charged a January 6 defendant only with the offense at issue in Fisher. The ruling could impact part of former President Trump's federal election case.
I will be shocked if special counsel Jack Smith does not have court papers ready to say that he can still charge former President Trump with obstruction, arguing that he was trying to interfere with the counting and the counting of those state electoral votes, which were paper, which were evidence.
The court also announced its last day of the term is Monday, when watchers can expect a decision in Trump's immunity case. And attorneys for former President Trump could potentially challenge some of the charges that he's facing in regards to the January 6th Capitol riots. Now, special counsel Jack Smith had previously argued if the Supreme Court rules just as they have today, they'd be prepared to move forward. But of course, we're expecting that historic ruling from the Supreme Court on Monday on former President Trump's claim of presidential immunity. Cheryl, Len.
Lots of people standing by to see what happens then. Thank you so much, Erica.